Good morning, guys. Just a quick one before work. Alpha dogs. We all want to be an alpha male. We have a lot of alpha males at our clinic. We have people who beat people up for a living. Legitimately, not naughty people. Well, I think we probably have a few naughty people as well. I know we do have a few naughty people as well. We have people who protect individuals for a living. We have people who protect our nation for a living. We have ex-competitive bodybuilders, strongmen, prison officers. We've got a couple of gangsters as well. We've got a whole plethora of people who are considered alpha dogs. And testosterone is associated with being an alpha dog. Is it? Yeah. High testosterone can lead to aggressiveness. When you think about steroids, roid rage, it's a bit of a misnomer. If you're on steroids and you're a bit of a dick, you're probably a bit of a dick with normal levels. It's just the steroids have brought out your inner character, or made parts of your character that should not be expressed in the way that you're expressing them come to the surface. So I think down the gym, some of the guys I know who are on gear, Tren is the most psychologically damaging. It's actually the most physically damaging anabolic steroid out there as well. We often have the phrase, "I was okay until I did Tren." But yeah, I can tell guys down the gym who are on Tren, and I've called out one of my buddies, and he goes, "Yeah, how did you know?" I said, "Well, you've been a bit of a dick." And he did reflect on that actually, which was quite good. And he said, "Listen, apologise." But high testosterone levels can cause you to lack insight into your behaviour, and I think that's one of the cardinal problems with super physiological androgen levels, is you lack insight into your behaviour. You believe you're fine. You believe you're amazing. But the collective does not agree with that sentiment. Can you do what you want to do with super physiological levels? And the answer is depends on obviously what you want to do. Is it good to have super physiological levels 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And the answer to that question is obviously no. So we've got these alpha dogs. Now you would anticipate that these alpha dogs would like to be high 24/7, 7 days a week. Now that's actually not the case. Now why is that not the case? It's because they don't need to be heightened 24/7. They need to be heightened when they need to be heightened. So what they want to have is they want to have the ability to do their jobs effectively. They also need to have the ability to be able to rest and recover and deal with normal life. So it's peculiar, isn't it? These guys are often channeled into these career paths because they are good at dealing with stress, and that also works for high-powered executives. Why are you doing what you do? It's because I'm good at it. So I'm good at dealing with stress. Now, unfortunately, stress catches up with you, even if you're good at dealing with it. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line, ultimately it catches up with you. As a human being, are you supposed to be beating somebody up for a living? Are you supposed to be taking somebody's life in the name of democracy? Are you supposed to cope with watching your brothers who are alongside you die? And the answer to that question is no. There is an alarming number of guys who obviously went into these careers with altruism, with justice on their side, and they are now struggling because of the things they have done, the things they have witnessed, the things that they have believed they've been fighting for, but actually realised that that was not the case. Iraq is an obvious answer, but that's disgusting. But let's not go there because that's a whole political whatever. But yeah, so are you supposed to expose yourself to so much stress? And the answer to that is obviously no. Now, when you think about life, you should think about balance. You should think about stability. Now, when you think about those two things, it seems sort of contradictory to have anabolic processes and catabolic processes, because you should obviously have the ability to do both of those things if you are truly balanced. But that's obviously not the case. That's not how physiology works. That's not how life works. There's clear distinctions between night and day. There's clear distinctions between catabolic processes and anabolic processes. Now, the body you can't be quite that black and white about it, because obviously you need to have periods where you're predominantly anabolic and predominantly catabolic. So life is a little bit more complex, but again, it's a principle. So we always talk about the importance of hormonal health and mental well-being. You cannot have mental well-being without hormonal health. It's not the other way around. So I think we need to appreciate that. So when people run high, they may feel great, but it's much like yin and yang, isn't it? You can't have darkness without light. You cannot have light without darkness. If you are too far in the light, essentially the darkness will catch up with you. And the problem is, if you've only exposed yourself to the light and not appreciated the importance of the darkness, when that darkness catches up with you, you will be at your weakest, because you will not have the coping abilities to react appropriately. And that's what we know when what happens when guys run high. They feel great, and they ultimately crash. You know, there's a reason why the steroid boys only do 12 weeks of anabolic steroids. It's because they recognise the psychological and physical impact and insult these exaggerated anabolic processes have on your normal physiology. So it stands to reason that if you are running a super physiological TRT protocol, that the standards apply. And I think that's something that we need to fully appreciate, because normal is best. You are supposed to be strong. You are supposed to be able to procreate. You are supposed to rest, recover, grow. And I think these guys lack empathy. They lack the ability to see the woods from the trees. They follow the wrong path. And my alpha dogs know that, because we've spoken in depth about it. We've addressed some of their concerns, because sometimes these guys do want to run high. And we have this discussion, and we have an understanding. They are sat in front of me because they've got low testosterone. They've got low testosterone often because they've been naughty boys. whether that be intentionally through taking gear, drugs and blah blah blah, or whether it be unintentionally through their occupations, so exposing themselves to stresses that no human should actually be exposed to. So you have to remind them, you're sat here because your pattern of behaviour has ultimately led you to sit here and seek help from me. So you have to listen to me, because you cannot be objective. Highs and lows. People do not react appropriately when they are high. People do not react appropriately when they are low. And it's only when they establish proper hormonal balance, and that means a nice healthy testosterone level, estrogen level, DHT level, do they actually really understand the true nature of themselves. And I think that's the take-home point. Guys can run high and feel great, but ultimately it will catch up with you. And you, my guys that are actually balanced, who are these alpha dogs who have they are far happier now. You've got to listen to the white wolf, not the dark wolf.